All right, welcome to, I think this is episode number 5 of the JBS podcast. Joe, how are you doing today?
Well, it's 2021, and I'm awfully inspired by the new year. I got to do a few shout outs.
Let's do them.
First, JBS, Joe, Brad, and Steve, we're missing Brad today, and we miss him. He'll be back soon. But a shout out to Brad. One of the companies that I'm so proud to associate our podcast with, because we talk about Southeast Oklahoma, which we'll get to in a minute, is the Hochatown Distillery. The Hochatown Distilling Company, and we're going to get to some straight bourbon whiskey. They do this stuff legally. We're going to get to some stills down there that do it illegally, that get caught with their, quote, hand in the cookie jar. And
we're just big fans of this whiskey. This is not a sponsored video.
Solid bourbon. But
if they'd like to give us a call and sponsor a podcast, we'd love for them to give us a call.
Finally, the shout out to, I think it's the best deal going. Maybe in the United States of America, and that's a big statement, because when you say it's the best deal going in the United States of America, that takes it out of not only Southeast Oklahoma, not only the state of Oklahoma, it puts it into the entire United States of America. The best deal going, in my opinion, is paying 25 cents for a Southeast Times newspaper that covers not fake news, but real news
by real reporters
in Southeast Oklahoma, which is what I really want to get to. Straight from the horse's mouth, it is January of 2021, new year, but we're going to back this up into early December of 2020, because we're all now happy that the holidays are behind us, in the rearview mirror and all that stuff. But I want to see how the folks in southeastern Oklahoma are approaching the holidays. And we get off to a rough start down there. When a mother and son get into an argument, another final shout out I've got to give, and I hope we do this every time we go live on these broadcasts, the McCurtain County Sheriff's Department and those deputy sheriffs work harder, in my opinion, than any sheriff's department in the entire state of Oklahoma. They were called out time and time again as we go through these stories. This one is, of course, at 3:10 a.m. on a Monday. What happens?
Do any of these stories ever start during the daytime?
Few and far between. But nothing good happens after midnight, Steve.
I know. I told you. My grandmother said, "Don't go out after 10."
I'm just reading.
So what happened between mother and son in Eagletown? It was fine December. Actually, it was November 30th.
There, as I understand this article, there were hit and miss calls to 911. Mind you, 3:10 a.m. Phone would go dead. Then it went to a cell, and the 911 dispatcher continued to be concerned and launched a deputy sheriff from McCurtain County to get out to this residence. They figured out who the resident homeowner was, and when they arrived, there was a mama who was visibly distraught and crying.
Didn't the mama try to call 911 like 3 times, but the son just was beating on her and wouldn't even let her finish the phone call, looks like?
Yelling at his mama.
Right.
And
he ought to go to jail just for that.
I agree. And he's 44. He gets no empathy or sympathy with me. And apparently this 44-year-old is taking out his frustration of his concern about his girlfriend allegedly cheating on him, on his mom. What the heck's the mom got to do with anything about his girlfriend allegedly cheating?
Mama was just trying to be nice, take care of her son.
Well, guess what the son is?
He's a felon.
And guess what the son had in that house?
Yeah, firearms.
I got to tell you.
Karma.
This is something we're going to see several other repeated stories of felons in possession. Now, let me alert our listening and viewing audience. Free legal advice. If you are a convicted felon, you should not have a firearm in your possession, because what happens when you do, and a McCurtain County deputy sheriff is called out to your residence.
You're going to jail right then and there.
He went to jail. He was arrested.
But even then, his mama still tried to save him, kind of. She said that those guns were actually for her grandson. He was on the shooting team. But in the end, the mama said, he can't live in it here anymore. I can't deal with him. And take him away.
He is going to... I don't know how long his residence is going to be with bars in front of his face, but it's going to be a while.
He ain't living with mama anymore.
Now, one thing I did notice that was embedded in that story that you brought up that I find interesting. We have a lot of wildlife out there running around, sometimes running in front of cars. And I find it valiant. It's a valiant effort that these kids are being taught how to shoot a firearm appropriately and rid some of these wild game, put food on the table. It is a very basic and fundamental thing. It takes me back to the 1700s, and I applaud our public education system for having, according to the mother who was assaulted by her son, for having such a system in place in our school to teach these kids how to appropriately use a firearm, I'm assuming for purposes of shooting wildlife.
Right. And even though they had him in the house, the mother did have him locked up in the glass case.
Always an appropriate mama. You know, and I don't know what the end story is on the girlfriend. It's none of our business on that. The story did not ever conclude one way or the other whether the son got all hot and bothered under the collar about his girlfriend allegedly cheating on him, but it is what it is. And I say she's innocent, and I say he's guilty.
I agree.
Felon in possession.
Go to jail.
Ida Bell store robbed at gunpoint. Moving right along, and we're still coming up towards Christmas. And so
I think this guy just needed money. I mean, you can read the details. He waited around for the time safe.
And would you please enlighten our audience on the time this went down?
1:10 a.m. on a Saturday.
Nothing good happens after midnight, and it's the Easy Mart. And you know, I've been to an Easy Mart multiple times. I'm not sure I've been to this one on Southeast Lincoln Road there in Idabel, but Easy Mart provides a good service, in my opinion.
They're always friendly.
They are, and they have the goods and needs of serving our folks, and they're open after midnight.
So what did this guy try to do?
He literally cut, as I understand the story, he cuts holes in this mask so all the clerk could see. The clerk's outside smoking a cigarette, 1:10 a.m. in the morning. This guy walks into his store with a mask on with holes cut out where all you could see are his eyelids.
Right.
I thought the clerk showed some guts and fortitude by going into the store and getting at his assigned post behind the cash register, and guess what happened?
Yeah, because it kind of sounded like he had a funny feeling already.
And he goes in there, and of course the guy wants to stiff him and stiff Easy Mart and try to take money. And he starts talking about a floor safe, and the clerk, with all calmness, says words to the effect, "Sir, this floor safe only kicks out a few dollars at a time, and I'm not going to be able to fulfill your needs here."
And he asked for his cigarettes. He wants his brand. He's not smart enough to just say, "Give me some cigarettes." He wants a specific brand of cigarettes.
I found that interesting. He short story is he cops, obviously another vehicle pulls in, because as I was reading the story, I was wondering, well, where are other people that need Easy Mart's stuff? why aren't they pulling in there, getting gas, whatever? Finally, somebody pulls in while the shakedown's going on.
Right.
And that causes the guy in the mask with the 2 eyeballs cut out of his mask, causes him to leave the store. They say
Got scared.
what I find real interesting, which caught my eye on this, that the authorities are called, of course. Guys run off. Clerk here comes the Idabel Police Department. Finally,
Blue hoodie and pajama pants. They find him.
they bring a dog.
Actually, Astor.
They literally go to a house following the dog's scent. 2:00 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, you get a rap on the door. You got these officers in full uniform, probably guns drawn. I don't know.
And he's in a blue hoodie and pajamas.
They shake down the house as they should, based on the dog following the scent of whatever they thought the scent was that the dog was following. All I can tell you is the investigation is still on. No arrests were made that night. However, still going into Christmas, there's a woman walking down the road. And what I find interesting here, Idabel Police, McCurtain County Sheriff's Office, they get bothered again. There is no rest for those.
Is this the lady walking down Rodeo Drive?
As she was in her mind, I'm sure she was thinking.
Now, do you think it's Rodeo Drive or Rodeo Drive?
I'm sure she was thinking rodeo. I'm pretty confident. Her holding the knife, she thought it was pure rodeo. Now,
she's yelling and screaming, waving the knife around.
What is amazing to me is this girl is out there at Airport Road in the Broken Bow area. She's yelling and raising 10 kinds of hell. And she's got a knife, and you would think, okay, based on what I'm reading, leading up to some identifying markers on this woman, because one of the beautiful things about the Southeast Times, they put the size and weight of most of these. They spared this woman, other than saying she was a 63-year-old Heavener woman.
Right.
Heavener is heaven with an ER, and that community is nowhere near Broken Bow. And I'm wondering, to this good day, this all is prior to Christmas. Here we are, January 23rd, reporting on this real news. How in the world did that 63-year-old Heavener woman get out on this road, Airport Road and Rodeo, in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, with a knife in her hand, raising 10 kinds of hell? How did that happen?
Doesn't say.
Deputies are grabbing the woman. They're taking the knife. She's falling to the ground.
I like how they said deputies. So not only did this 63-year-old, as you said, walking down, yelling and screaming, it took more than one deputy to bring this woman down.
And I'm trying to envision the rationale of this woman.
I know.
She's not only holding the knife. Now, we're going to get to some really good stuff in this story. I kid you not. This is real news. She tells the officers, as she's handcuffed, she got counterfeit money.
Why would she do that?
I don't even know. I mean, that would probably go unnoticed. They're probably not thinking a 63-year-old woman with a knife raising hell in the middle of the road is carrying counterfeit money.
By the way, I did more crime.
God. And then guess what happens? All these witnesses start coming forward about what this woman had been doing. Banging on their...
She was a busy woman.
Banging on their car, holding the knife, busting the car with a rock, scaring these people half to death.
Didn't she scare a little kid too?
Yes.
A little 4-year-old, I think.
And I can tell you, the good news is she
went to jail.
As she should. I don't know what happened.
I would not want to meet this 63-year-old.
No, but it does bring us to a point. It does bring us to a point. Mental health.
Right.
I don't know if she was on drugs or if she's just got some marbles up her ain't working right. I don't know, but we need to provide better funding for mental health.
Yes, especially in our small communities.
Because what is a jail going to do for someone that has mental problems?
Nothing.
I don't know.
Even if they're on medications, it's going to take them away from it.
So let's keep moving along here. And
we're going to Broken Bow next?
Well, no, I'm trying to get out of Idabel.
Oh, we're still in Idabel. Idabel had a rough time last few weeks.
It is. And again, I'm trying to envision, okay, what's this woman thinking? Carrying a knife down the middle of the road, nighttime, raising hell with all these innocent people in their vehicles trying to get to their place.
It didn't say she was drunk.
It never really laid that out. And then they take her to jail, and while she's there, apparently there's an Idabel inmate that rages against officers. And what caught my eye on this article is this fella is actually in jail raising hell.
Right.
I don't quite 5'11", 200-pound man.
Is it a community center or is it a jail?
I think it, according to the article, and I really got to believe that the Southeast Times, I know the Southeast Times, I know the owner of this newspaper, reports factual information. Jail cell. 42-year-old began insulting an officer, and the officer again told the man to have a seat. And of course, the rager refused. The officer went around. Now, this is what caught my eye.
Okay.
To assist the man to a sitting position. Now that...
He's being polite about it.
I'm wondering how he assisted that man to a sitting position when that man's raging against him.
Right.
When the officer opened the door into the bench area of the jail cell,
right,
the man had come to the door, raging with his hands behind him, so the officer escorted him to the bench. The prisoner continued to rage, refusing to sit, and the officer attempted to sit him using a stun on his shoulders near his neck.
So he zapped him.
The last time I saw that happen was on Star Trek.
Somebody got zapped?
Spock.
From the Klingon? Oh, from Spock. Yeah, you're right.
He would touch him on the neck, and they sat. I want to know if that fella, that police officer is akin to our dear friend Spock. I called it the Spock hold. An officer was finally able to get the bench cuff off the man's wrist while he was actively resisting. Guess what? He was booked into jail.
Not after that Spock hold.
I mean, he's done. I bet Captain Kirk came around. Now, there's a leading into Christmas. Officers respond to shots fired in the Harris community. Again, a shout out to the McCurtain County Sheriff's Department. They got to go out to this community where there's a shots are being fired. As I understand this article, there's a sheriff deputy vehicles, plural, multiple, come out to the Harris community because there are shots being fired. And while the deputies are out there, they actually hear shots. So the call's made, they get there, and shots still continue.
So these ain't fireworks.
No.
Real gunshots.
Bullets flying through the air.
That's not good.
The McCurtain County Sheriff Department folks, they find the guy. He is a neighbor that is walking to a shed.
Just shooting randomly?
He doesn't have a weapon in his hand.
Okay.
But the deputies approach him. Brave deputies approach him. And they engage him. And they find where he was walking towards, once again, the shed, a loaded, chambered rifle
At the shed.
in the shed.
So was he shooting at the deputies?
The story doesn't unfold with that kind of detail.
He had a rat problem.
He said, I got to use this gun to shoot varmints.
See?
Well, guess what he was?
Varmint.
A felon.
Ding, 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 ding.
Jailed for felon in possession of firearm.
Skip, what was that? Skip go?
They ought to have a cell at the McCurtain County Sheriff's Department dedicated to those poor souls who
Possession
are
of a firearm.
Yes, you go into jail cell number 3, right?
That's got to be hard out there, though, because I bet you go back to your house and you probably do have to shoot varmints.
You get out of prison.
Yeah.
You think you've done your time.
Right.
You want to go shoot you a squirrel.
Right. Just going back to living your life.
And you get your ass arrested.
Right.
Because you fired it.
Right. It doesn't matter if you fire it, you just have it in your house.
And all you do is
Have it in your car. You're going to jail.
You sit in jail shaking your head.
Well, in our next podcast, we're going to talk about Broken Bow.